Coming up next on SportsCenter, we don't want to give it away.
The Michael, three again. Oh, Michael's good again.
So instead, we'll promise you NCAA tournament highlights.
Between the shot clock and the game clock, Jordan, yes! Oh,
We'll promise you today's NBA highlights.
Jordan past Petrovic.
We'll even promise golf, hockey, but don't think I'm going to spill the beans on our lead story and steal the thunder away from my co-anchor.
Michael Jordan is activated as the Chicago Bulls.
Linda's going to be mad.
Hi, everybody. Steve Levy, Linda Cohn. We welcome you and yours to SportsCenter. There are only two stories that can knock college basketball off our front page. One of which would be the end of the baseball strike, and that certainly hasn't happened.
Can't imagine, Steve, what the other story could be. We knew he was coming back, and now we know when, and the news is music to the ears of Bulls fans and to the NBA. Your tip-off is just 17 hours away. Michael Jordan will be in uniform for the Chicago Bulls when they meet the Pacers in Indiana. So much for a lengthy statement. Michael summed up his decision to return in 2 words: I'm back. Anything else that needs to be said has been said already over the past 2 weeks. Now, right now, the Bulls are just happy number 23 will be back on the court instead of hanging from the rafters.
We're all very happy about this. We think it's going to be great for our basketball club. We hope expectations, which are going to be high, aren't overreaching for what we have as a basketball club. We're just glad he's getting back on the court and going to play.
But isn't the goal now to win a championship with him back?
I don't know how long he is back for. I mean, that's something you have to ask him directly.
Isn't the goal, though, realistic goal now to try to win the championship?
Oh, yeah, we'd all love to win the championship. It's still not going to resolve the issue and the problems that we have as a basketball team, retrieving the ball, getting rebounds, and playing defense. That's still a problem. We're going to get some scoring, I'll tell you that, though.
What we don't know is, now that he's back, how long will he stay? Now, as for the other legends who've returned, Jim Palmer, he didn't stay long. He was cut in the spring. Remember Gordie Howe's impressive comeback 15 years ago? He totaled 49 points. 2 more, he would have matched his age. Later in the show, we look back at Jordan's last 17 months. From I quit to I'm back. To hoops, the number 2 seed in the West, the Connecticut Huskies, are 2,000 miles away from home, and they're not complaining. While the Huskies enjoy the overflowing attention they receive back home, they also say they're much more relaxed, being just another team in Utah. Today, they were looking to avoid stress against Cincinnati. Both teams coming off impressive first-round wins. Lozelle Durden for Cincy misses the 3. Bearcats don't get back on defense, and Ray Allen does the rest and makes them pay. UConn led by as early as 11, as many as 11. Cincinnati comes back to Long, goes up the ladder to throw down the alley-oop. And then Darnell Burton. How about from 3? Yeah, UConn led by 3 at the break. UConn's defense creating points. Sheffer, the block, out to Kevin Ollie. Here we go. The no-look pass to Donnie Marshall, and Marshall slams it home. UConn by 13. Cincinnati turned cold in the second half. The miss, and then here we go again. Ollie to Allen, alley-oop. Huskies win it by 5, and they move on. Donnie Marshall, 25 points for him. 4 of the last 5 years now, UConn has been in this tournament. They've made it to the Sweet 16. Next up for UConn, the winner of tomorrow's game between Texas and Maryland. In the East region, Wake facing St. Louis. St. Louis has never been to the Sweet 16. Scott Highmark from outside hits. Randolph Childress answers back for Wake. He had 21 points in this game, and Highmark keeps the Billikens close. He had 22, and we're tied at the break. Second half, Wake looks inside to Tim Duncan. One of the most underrated big men in the country is Duncan. Look at this D here, the great block on David Robinson. Now watch Wake Forest pass it. Pretty stuff, and Duncan ends up with a jam. He finished with 25 points, 9 boards. Charlie Spoonhour knows time is up while Childress and Wake move on. They win it by 64 to 59. They're in the Sweet 16 for just the second time since the 85 expansion. The Billikens, afraid of going inside against Tim Duncan, shot just 23% from three-point range. Up next for Wake, the winner here, Bama against the Cowboys. That's McDyess coming off his 39-point effort. Check out Jamal Faulkner. The miss, watch McDyess. Alabama up early by as much as 7. Half winding down, Randy Rutherford. The dish to Scott Pierce. Oklahoma State up by 1 at the break. Early second half, trouble for Bama. McDyess hurt his knee, and he'd watch an 8-2 Oklahoma State run. McDyess would come back and gets a big country-type elbow on this play. No call. Oklahoma State up by 5, and then the Cowboys pull away. Keontae Roberts finding Bryant Reeves. No problem for Oklahoma State. They win by 14. They hold Bama to just 36% from the field. Reeves and Rutherford were awesome in the second half. They scored 30 of the Cowboys' 38 points. Next up for Okie State will be Wake. Steve?
One side of a strong team is being able to win even when outplayed. Another is when a team arguably loses its best player and plays better, such is the case with Virginia in the absence of the injured Corey Alexander. Miami of Ohio showing us something as well. They get in with an at-large bid and then come up with one of the largest wins of the first round. They bounce fifth-seeded Arizona, now shooting higher, looking to take out a number 4. Devin Davis, a new college cult hero. First half, Jamie Mahaffey misses a 3. Davis there for the rebound. 4 Virginia players around him. You know what? Doesn't matter. Scores anyway. Miami of Ohio up 6 at the break. Second half, Virginia by 1. Chris McGuire the steal, up court for the layup. Miami by 1, 3.5 left. Miami now up 2. Junior Burrow. Turnaround, lays it up and in, tied at 46. We're going to overtime. In the OT, Virginia up 2. Junior Burrow inside. Hoop and the foul. Virginia up 53-48. Now Virginia by 3. Chris McGuire. Drive inside, layup. They call the travel. We go the other way. Virginia goes on for the victory in a game that ended just seconds ago. A 3-point win, 57-54, 26 for Burrow in the win for Virginia. It's the 5th overtime game of the tournament, and we're only into this first weekend. Burrow's 28, second Sweet 16 for Coach Jeff Jones. Continuing on, Southeast Regional, Kentucky and Tulane. Perry Clark's Green Wave would keep it close early. Gerald Honeycutt, lefty floater to go. Tulane led by 1 early on. But Honeycutt will wind up sitting with early foul trouble. That would open up the inside game for Kentucky. Roderick Rhodes, Jared Prickett inside in the hoop. More good passing Kentucky. Epps inside to Pope, back to Tony Delk with the Delk touch. And Patino's club up 41-24 at the break. Got to show you this great effort. Corey Childs, baseline reverse jam. But Kentucky responds. Prickett the block. The lead to Jeff Shepard. Break all the way coast to coast for the lay-in. And Tulane would wind up leaving this one shaking their heads. Roderick Rhodes at 14 points. Balanced scoring attack for Kentucky. They had 6 players in double figures. The Wildcats will face Arizona State in the regional semifinals. Wildcats lost to Marquette in the second round last year. Fran Fraschilla in Manhattan looking to be this year's Cinderfella. They met Arizona State. First half, 13-0. The Jaspers on a run. Evans of Phoenix down for the jam. Then Keaton Hyman finds Evans. Breakaway jam. Manhattan leads by 4 at the break. Bill Frieder, reason to be concerned. Second half, Rod Riley from 3. Off the back iron, bit too strong. Mario Bennett there to board and score. ASU by 1. Jeremy Veal missed. Marcel Capers gathers, dishes to Bennett. And Priscilla's starting to feel this one slip away. Then James Bacon misses. Riley there for the follow slam. Arizona State wins. Riley had 21 points and 7 rebounds. The numbers, though, were not pretty at halftime for the Sun Devils. They were down 4, outboarded 24-11, and shot only 29%. Lucky for them, there was a second half. Arizona State in the regional semis for the first time since 1975. Still to come on Sports Center, more on Michael's return. I can admit I picked the Chargers in the Super Bowl. How many of you said Jordan would never return to the NBA? You know who you are. We'll look at what MJ's been through on his road back. Also, still to come on Sports Center, highlights of a lonely game on the NBA schedule. Pistons and Sonics, and at least one Sean Kemp slam. Also, more thoughts on the day that was in college basketball. Fowler tries to get in a single word with Dick and Digger. And there's more news on the late Reggie Lewis. Back in the news, again, of the negative variety.
SportsCenter is brought to you by NCI's new friends and family. An automatic 25% savings on every call in the U.S.
One matinee in the NBA, Peyton and the Sonics taking on Detroit. And in honor of MJ's return, some MJ moves. How about that for Peyton? 25 points for him. You can bet Michael would be saying, I can do that, I can do that. Lindsey Hunter, he scored 24. He shows he can soar. Michael saying, no problem for me. Then Sean Kemp, like silk. along the baseline. Kemp with 20. Sonics win by 20. And yeah, Michael says, wait till tomorrow. Sonics breeze to a 133-110 victory. Detroit losing their 5th in a row. The Pistons still have won just 6 games on the road all season. Disturbing news today out of Boston. Northeastern University plans to investigate whether Reggie Lewis tested positive for cocaine in 1987 when Lewis was a senior standout for the Huskies. School president John Curry said today that a former athletic director told him that Lewis had tested positive right before the '87 NCAA tournament. But Curry said he was also told the doctor in charge of the test said Lewis had not failed it. Lewis was retested 4 days after the original test. That result is reported to have been negative. The Wall Street Journal reported recently that Lewis's doctors had suspected that cocaine could have contributed to his fatal heart problem. In 4 days, as scheduled, Reggie Lewis's number is raised to the rafters at Boston Garden.
A more pleasant story, like one of his own 360 power slams. Michael Jordan has now come full circle, back to where he, as most would agree, belongs, and that's the NBA. MJ rejoins the Bulls for real tomorrow in a nationally televised affair at Indiana. His road back, as Carl Ravitch reports, filled with runs, hits, and errors.
Will I ever unretire? I don't know. You know, I think the word retire means you can do anything you want from this day on. So if I desire to come back and play again, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road. I'm not going to close that door. I don't believe in never, and I won't ever believe in it to this point.
On the basketball court, Michael Jordan never dribbled himself into a corner. In making his retirement speech, he refused to be pinned down as well. In saying goodbye to Michael, team owner Jerry Reinsdorf compared him to a legend from a different sport.
I can only imagine what it was like seeing Babe Ruth, because I think this man, I used to say was the Babe Ruth of basketball. I've now come to believe that Babe Ruth was the Michael Jordan of baseball.
No one then, with the exception of Michael himself, could have known that 2 months later, he would be attempting to compete on the same field of battle which made the Babe famous. In December of '94, Jordan began working out for baseball. Nearly everyone thought it was a joke. Everyone except Michael.
I do have skills and capabilities of possibly playing this game as long as I want to stay with it. And I plan on trying to keep improving on that so that I don't make a fool of myself.
Impressed enough with the improvement Jordan had shown, or convinced that he would be the greatest gate attraction since, dare we say, Ruth, the White Sox signed Jordan to a free agent contract and invited him to spring training. The circus-like atmosphere put pressure on the other players in camp, but the focus was clearly on Michael. On March 31st, MJ was assigned to the AA Birmingham Barons. Before playing his first game, he spent $350,000 on a new team bus. The date, April 8th, is significant in Jordan's life for 2 reasons. It was on that day during the '85-'86 basketball season he scored 63 points against the Celtics. It was on that day in 1994 that Jordan began his professional baseball career, playing right field for the Barons. The numbers he created off the field were more impressive than the ones he produced on it. Wherever he went, fans flocked to see him play. Jordan ended up hitting .202 with 51 RBIs. He stole 30 bases, struck out 114 times, but over the last 3 weeks of the season, Jordan went 12 for 40, hitting .300.
It's a good start. I don't think I'm finished. I think my dream's still continuing. I'm still trying to get to the major league if possible. I mean, that's the ultimate dream.
5 days after he put the glove down, he put his sneakers back on, playing in a charity game hosted by Scottie Pippen. Jordan displayed the moves and pizzazz which earned him 3 regular season and 3 postseason MVP awards. He scored 52 points, then kissed the Chicago Stadium floor and seemingly his basketball life goodbye. Like Birmingham, Scottsdale, Arizona was the next to benefit from MJ's presence. His play in the Fall League continued to lend credence to the notion that he may someday play in the bigs. Jordan batted .252 in 35 games. But in November, basketball called again. In a made-for-TV event, Jordan's number was retired, and a statue of the living legend was unveiled in front of the new United Center, affectionately known as the house that Jordan built. February 17th, 1995, Michael turns 32 in Sarasota, Florida. But on March 2nd, he walked out of the White Sox training camp, having earlier vowed not to get in the middle of the strike. Now, he's back in the middle of basketball.
Carl, thanks. From one legend to a legendary trio. How's that for a transition? Up next on SportsCenter, Chris, Dick, and Digger standing by with their take on today's college basketball.
And welcome to our Hoops headquarters. Chris Fowler along with Dick Vitale and Digger Phelps to break down Day 3 of the NCAA tournament. We'll start with the West region, the game that's in progress. Texas and Maryland. The Terrapins a 5-point lead, 7 minutes to play in the first half. Joe Smith off to the quick start. Texas has not faced a center as good as he is, and already 10 points for Joe. In the Midwest region, Kansas and Western Kentucky just about to get underway. But certainly the first game in that location in Dayton was a thriller as Miami battles Virginia into overtime. The mighty MAC Conference almost pulling off another upset before your guy, Mr. Burrow, took over in overtime.
We can't call him junior any longer. I mean, this guy's been absolutely sensational. The second part of the season, he's played as well as any power forward, basically, in college basketball. And he was dominant in the overtime. I mean, Junior Burrow was big. He scored 9 points. There he is, the little jumper from the free throw line. He was a trailer in that sequence. And now we're going to watch him posted up inside. He's got the great soft hands. Just a power move to the goal. Junior Burrow scored 48% of their points in this game. He is a star of stars. Doesn't get enough credit, enough PR. Get him some PR, Digger.
He deserves it. I think you're championing the cause pretty well by yourself.
I'm gonna be his
so
agent.
Virginia moves on. They'll play in Kemper Arena on Friday against the winner of that Kansas-Western Kentucky team. And should Kansas get through, Virginia is certainly a team capable of springing that upset. In the Southeast, in Memphis, Arizona State ending the dreams of Manhattan, knocking them out. The Sun Devils playing the great defense once again. They move on to take on Kentucky. The Wildcats blowing out to a huge early lead over Tulane and then just cruising in that ball game. Arizona State and Manhattan, guys, a game Manhattan effort, but the Sun Devils prevailing.
Well, you know, Arizona State with that great quickness. The second half, Mario Bennett took over. They had no match for him on the inside. Earlier in the game, transition, good tough defense, forcing a lot of turnovers. Manhattan went on a little bit of a run, got an early lead of about 10 points, and it looked like upset city was going to happen. But then they regrouped at halftime, and Bill Frieder's Chargers were really ready in the second half.
And Mario Bennett in the second half really got that thing going for him, and that was just what they needed to do, because after the run by Manhattan, when they went 13-zip in the first half, they came back in Arizona State. Tough game, tough win, big time for Bill Frieder.
He made a great adjustment. Bill Frieder's a better sideline coach than a lot of people give him credit to be. The last guy to win back-to-back championships in the Big Ten.
Good matchup, Patino against Frieder in that one. In the West bracket in Salt Lake City, Connecticut, a second consecutive impressive outing. 98 points the Huskies have averaged in their 2 games. They will play the winner of the Texas-Maryland game, which we told you is ongoing in the first half. In the East, in Baltimore, Wake Forest, the top seed, survives against a pesky St. Louis team. Oklahoma State over Alabama. And Big Country Reeves winning the battle with Antonio McDyess and the other front court players for the Tide.
Well, I'll tell you what happened in this game. When Randy Rutherford in the second half decided, hey, it's my turn to shoot, hit the threes, and then Big Country gets his 26.7 rebounds, that's where Oklahoma State just had that power, had that force. The first time in 5 years for a Big 8 conference winner to get to the Sweet 16.
Digger exactly made I thought, the solid point there about Randy Rutherford. By him hitting the three, it opened up the passing lane inside to Reeves. So that combination, R squared, really made the difference. Antonio McDyess was sensational again. He can flat out play, and his stock is going up, up, and away.
But it's Big Country against Tim Duncan.
Ooh, what a rumble.
We're back at 9 o'clock, 64 to the Sweet 16, a complete look at what's going on today. Back to SportsCenter, Linda and Steve after this.
The women's college basketball tournament in the NCAA is continuing on. How about somebody giving UConn a game? Either Alabama or Duke will try it next, while in Chapel Hill, Carolina ran down the hall to advance. In the Midwest region, Texas Tech moves on from behind. 24 points out of Mickey Atkins, and Arkansas and Washington going at it the second half as we speak. More from the fun and sun of baseball spring training. By sticking to his word and taking the high road, Peter Angelos and his Orioles might find themselves with a major farm system problem. ESPN's Peter Gammons reports that Angelos has asked for a promise from every other club that during the season they will not call up these replacement players. Other clubs have responded by saying, sorry, can't make that promise. So bluff is called bluff, and if Angelos doesn't go back on his entire system won't have any opponents to play. America Cubed, the first ever all-women's team to participate in the America's Cup competition, has greatly changed its makeup. they've added a man. The team is facing elimination as they head into the Defender semifinals. The addition of Dave Dellenbaugh as tactician and starting helmsman is being called temporary. Linda?
Because of the wet weather in Orlando, 65 golfers didn't complete the second round of the Nestle Invitational until this morning. Only one in that group is among the tournament leaders, and that's Peter Jacobsen. He's won twice already this year, and he was within 5 strokes of the lead entering today's third round. Nick Faldo in danger of missing the cut. He shot a 73 this morning to finish up his second round on shots like that one.
4-yard par 4.
Crazy scene on 8. Lauren Roberts' second shot. Watch this. 2 balls drop on the green. Which one is his? I don't know. Well, actually, Billy Andrade accidentally went at the same time. Roberts is your leader through 3. The defending champ at 13 under. Here's what it will look like tomorrow when third round play resumes, because they had to delay it, postpone it because of darkness. Davis Love with a third shot, a 36 on the front 9. And by the way, Peter Jacobsen, he is still in the hunt, and he is this week's Sunday conversation. At the LPGA event in Phoenix, defending champ Laura Davies has a 2-stroke lead after 3 over Beth Daniel. Our coverage continues tomorrow at 3 Eastern. As for the Seniors Classic, second round action, Tom Morga with the 1-shot lead over Larry Loretti. We'll have the final round tomorrow, 5:30 Eastern, right before Sports Center. Coming up next, can you imagine where the Bruins would be without this guy, Cam Neely? It's a good thing they had him against the Islanders today. You'll see why in a minute.
3 NHL games this afternoon, starting with the Sabres and Senators. 5 seconds left. Donald Audette snaps home the rebound, tied at 3 to overtime in the OT. Sean Hill the save, but Troy Murray puts home the rebound, and the Senators win. Isles and Bruins from the Garden, third period. Bruins down 3-2. Cam Neely, the steal, breaks in, and the blast by Jamie McLennan. Neely had 2. The Bruins win at home. Lightning and Devils, third period. Brian Bradley the rush. The John Tucker, he puts it home with a Lightning win on the road in New Jersey. Their first win there ever.
Saying he was surprised it was so easy, Michael Joyce of Santa Monica ousted 5th-seeded Michael Stieg. After the loss, Stieg ripped the event and Miami. In Stieg's words, I just don't like this place. Nobody on the women's side ripped Miami, but then again, all the favorites, including Steffi Graf, moved on to the second round.
Getting ready to go in Calgary, Alberta. Bonnie Blair set to skate her final race, so we can wish her good luck and happy birthday at the same time. Bonnie turned 31 today. And former Wisconsin football star Brett Moss jailed for what is being called a violation of his probation from a previous drug conviction. One can only speculate how this might affect him in next month's draft. Well, that does it for us. Next Sports Center comes your way 11 Eastern with Mike Tirico and Carl Ravitch. I'm Steve Levy.
I'm Linda Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget about the NCAA tournament special at 9 p.m. Eastern also tonight. World Cup skiing from Breckenridge. It's the Freestyle Classic coming your way now.